good evening, and wherever the sun may find you. My name is Walt, and this is Coffee and Concepts on Keystroke Medium. Before I get too deep into anything, let's talk about what I'm drinking this morning. I'm drinking a Kenya roast. It's kind of like a medium dark. Got some a little bit of acid to just really highlight the earthy taste to it. It's got I always drink my coffee black, so that I always get the taste of wherever the single source coffee that I drink has been brewed, and it's it's a little tangy, it's a little sweet, like I said, a little acid, not too bad. You're not living in acid reflux land, but it's really a nice change from the usual dark and smoky roasts that I have all the time. But for my coffee talk this morning, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with a straight face. So we need to talk about a different type of coffee. So I normally don't endorse anything made with instant coffee. I mean, if you're soldier or hiker, or you're just really on the go and you have access to hot water and you have those little like coffee packets for instant coffee, or you take a little instant coffee and throw it into a baggie, so that way anywhere where there's hot water you can have coffee without mortgaging a kidney at some of these places, then rock on, man. You do what you got to do you, and get that done. So yeah, the having instant coffee, I'm normally a little like, whoa. Yeah. However, to talk up coffee, we're going to talk about a little dish that came out of Korea. It's called Dalgona coffee, or Dalgona coffee. Excuse me, Dalgona coffee. It's out of Korea. It's really a strange brew. So you take equal parts of the instant coffee, instant coffee, put it in a bowl, add an equal amount of sugar to whatever it is however many spoonfuls. Usually, Facebook user. Let's see who Facebook user is. I really need to refresh my feed. Well, good morning. But yeah, so let's see. Oh, William Joseph Roberts. Buongiorno, signore. You start off with a certain number of scoops of instant coffee, right? Usually 2 to 3. Throw that in a bowl. An equal amount of sugar, 2 to 3 teaspoons. Throw that in a bowl. And then a little bit of cocoa powder. Throw that in a bowl. Hot water, just a little bit, like the equal amounts of the same amount that you put in the coffee, the sugar, and the chocolate. Throw that in the bowl, and then you whisk it until it becomes like super fluffy. It's just like it becomes almost like hot chocolate. And once it's all super fluffy and you got it in the cup, you're then going to most times I've seen it done with hot milk, like steamed milk, like you might find at a cafe where they use an espresso machine to steam milk. You can do it in a double boiler. You can just however you heat milk, you can superheat milk and then pour it in there until you get this foamy, chocolatey drink that kind of rises to the top. It acts much like certain other drinks of this type, only in reverse, where usually the milk has a tendency to kind of hang out on top. It acts as like a taste filter as you're down in your coffee. Dessert coffee. Num num num. That would be Lauren Moore, guys. Hello, Facebook user Lauren Moore. Yes. So this is equal parts instant coffee, water, sugar, chocolate. And then pour once it's in the glass, you then pour either steamed or chilled milk I've heard condensed milk, but I think that would make this way too thick. So it just, yeah, it would be too much, too strong. Guten Morgen. Who else do we have over here? Let's see. That would be, oh, Patty Finn. Hello. Yeah, way too thick if you start throwing condensed milk in there. So yeah, this is a really interesting dessert coffee that you can make with instant coffee. You totally make this at home. You can use either a whisk or a blender to, whip it up and then just add your steamed or your heated milk in there, or if you prefer some ice milk or chilled milk, and you get like a quick, maybe 5 minute coffee drink that you can have and enjoy while you're sitting down reading your favorite thing. Which on this channel, there's tons of stuff to look at. So quick sip. And now we're on to our concept. So kind of like pouring condensed milk into the Dalgona coffee might be a little too intense. I'm talking to the readers out there, and like, we all have our favorite thing, our favorite genre, our favorite kind of books. Excuse me. Everybody makes fun of me because with all this great literature that's coming out and blah 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 blah, my favorite books of all time are really old books. Like my favorite book of all time is Old Man and the Sea. I could watch that. I could read that like 100 times as my dog is barking. I'm looking at you, Balder. Yep, he agrees. Old Man and the Sea. So, but it's kind of fun to get that reading buddy when you find one. You're sitting there, you're in the break room at work, or you're just hanging out and you're talking to some folks, and you're doing what you're doing, and all of a sudden you find out that they might read something that's close to what you read. Balder, yeah, he's a punk, loudmouth. He's in the other room getting mouthy. I think he hears the garbage guys coming up the street. So you find that buddy who likes to read books, and he or she might be into the same stuff that you're into, or close to it. If you're thriller, they might be like an action adventure type. If you like mystery, maybe they like horror. And there's similarities going on. So let's talk about the 5 things you can do as a book buddy to be a really good book buddy. So kind of paraphrasing these from the 5 rules of being a good battle buddy in the military. We love that doggo, star of the show. Yeah, he knows. Don't. I have trouble getting his ego from one room to the other, so let's keep it on the down low, right? So 5 rules of being a good book buddy. Number 1, don't try to club your book buddy over the head with your preferred genre. So if you're a action adventure reader and they're a thriller reader, and you want to hit them over the head with the merits of action adventure, give them the highlights, the elevator pitch, if you will, and then move on. They can talk about their favorite book. You talk about your favorite book, or the stuff you're reading at that time. Right. And then move on. Don't try to convince somebody to read something that might be close, but not necessarily what they're into. So I like coffee. Don't like instant coffee, and neither does Balder. So, so I'm going to stay away from that versus going all into somebody who might be like, let me show you the miracles of Dalgona coffee made with instant. It's I can take it or leave it, because usually the instant stuff doesn't hit me where I like to be hit. So, but yeah, if you got that preferred genre and you got that preferred batch of books that you really like to push. I mean, I've been guilty of it myself. Galaxy's Edge, love Galaxy's Edge, the Shortyverse, the Epicness of Valor. I mean, like all these great titles out there, and it's tons of science fiction. You got the Buried Goddess Saga, which is really cool fantasy. I mean, there's just the Keystroke Medium crew has so much good content out there, and you just want to like dealing cards, like here, one for you, one for you, one for you. You just want to pass them out, but sometimes people might not be into it. So give them the pitch, move on. If you loan somebody something, Let them have their way with it, and then let them have their way with it, and don't expect it back in 5 minutes. You don't know how long their TBR is, their to be read list. You don't know how long, or how backed up they might be, or whether or not, if it's a physical book that you hand them, they might be primarily an audiobook listener. You might have to wait a hot minute before getting that book back, because they might not read as fast as they listen. So if you loan them something and you're trying to be a good book buddy, give it a little bit, because you never know how fast somebody might consume that media. This is I put this in the middle of the list so I wouldn't forget it. I knew I'd have to trip over it before I moved on to the last two beyond that, but don't be that guy. Even if you're that girl, don't be that guy. That guy who either recommends a title, or you had a free Audible credit, you handed them a title, and blah blah blah. And did you read it yet? Did you read it yet? What did you think? Did you read it yet? How was it? Did it meet your expectations? Did you read it yet? Nobody likes that guy. Don't be that guy. Number 4 of being a good book buddy is, if they make a recommendation, give it some serious thought. Check it out. See what it does for you and your taste in genre and the kind of fiction that you like to consume, right? So you've been talking with this book buddy, they're into thriller, you're into like action adventure. So, you're very much like Raiders of the Lost Ark and that kind of stuff. And they're very into like political thriller, like Brad Thor kind of stuff, so if they sit there and say, hey, I have this book, I think you'd really like it, don't just take the recommendation and then fly away with it, because they're going to do that whole, good book buddy rule number 3 thing at some point and be like, hey, did you read it yet? They might not hit you over the head with it, but they definitely might ask you about it. And if that's the case, be honest. Hey, I haven't gotten to it yet, but the other side of that coin, is if they do ask you to check out something, check it out. I mean, they're probably going to check out your stuff as well. So definitely give it a look, give it a listen, see what you can get from it. You might actually come away with something you really enjoy. And then number 5, so the last one on our list about the 5 rules of being a good book buddy, is if you don't like something, tell them you don't like it. They recommended a book and they're over the moon about it. They think it's the greatest thing ever. They're just, oh my God, they cannot talk about it enough. As passionate as they are, if they're your book buddy, you've been talking about the titles that you've been checking out, and you're like, all right, maybe I'll give it a go. We'll see what's up. You start turning the pages, and then the pages get heavier and heavier. And each page is a slog to get through. You cannot fathom reading another little bit of this little thing that your friend has recommended to you. Just be honest. Hey, man, I got through 30 pages. I really didn't feel it, and maybe they say, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Or maybe they say, hey, you're right. Those first 50 pages are actually a little tough, but after that, it rocks and rolls, and then after that, it's up on you, but be honest with your book buddy. Let them know, hey, I really didn't appreciate it. I didn't appreciate the work. I appreciate the recommendation, but I really didn't appreciate what I was reading. So I think I'm going to move to read on something else. But if you got something in the future, hit me up, because I'm interested, because buddies. So that being said, those are some 5 quick rules of being a good book buddy. If you hang out with somebody who likes to read as much as you do, get into those 5 rules and try and recommend something to each other that keeps the pages turning. Speaking of paging and turning, we have Keystroke Medium live every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern with Scott, Josh, and Chuck. My dog's looking at me funny. Where they get into all sorts of thick in the weeds on reading, writing, and a little bit more, with roundtable discussions and clever guests that bring all sorts of insights into the literary field. We have Coffee and Concepts Tuesdays, normally at 7:30, unless I got to chase a guest, in which case that's what I'm going to do. And we might hop days or time zones or time slots or time slotting. I don't know. I got nothing back. Then, of course, the Writer's Journey on Thursday with Lauren and Kayleen, where they take an in-depth look on the behind-the-scenes world of all the different facets of being an author or being in the publishing industry. And it's an in-depth look on how you can see how some of those things are done, whether you're a reader and just interested in those things, or a writer possibly looking to get into professional field of the authoring yourself. And I am totally not winning any awards for my speech today. Last but not least, on YouTube, we have Josh Gayu, who does long form storytelling analysis, 2 to 4 hours, where they really break down a subject with his roundtable of really fun guests. We thank you very much for coming out this morning. And just remember, it might taste good, but instant coffee is evil. We'll catch you next time on Keystroke Mediums, Coffee and Concept. No instant coffee.